too late. And hopefully with your help, I'll get there. Thank you.
Representing Republican Rob Simmons, Chris Kuzu.
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight to represent Rob Simmons. I want to thank the candidates who are up here. I want to thank our Patriots. You guys are great. I've been to the rallies and I really support and appreciate you. And I also want you to know before I get going on Rob, there is some of us in Hartford who do listen. One of them is in here, Mike Alberts, myself. I don't know if there's any other elected officials. But there is some who listen to you, who vote on the right side of things. So know that, and I hope you support us. Rob Simmons, as many of you know, served his country 37 years in the military. He is a true patriot. He served in the CIA. He served overseas in Vietnam. And for those of us who have served in the military, we know one of the biggest priorities of this country is national defense. He gets it. He worked in Washington, D.C. on committees that have top secret information. And there's a time when people who were in the military, when they're in charge, it's important for this country, especially with national defense. Rob Simmons served at the municipal level for his town, Stonington. He served as a state representative for the state of Connecticut, obviously. He served as our 2nd District representative down in Congress for the 2nd District, half of Connecticut. And he did it proudly. And it's important that he served in these 3 capacities, because no matter what anybody says, I've learned this from my experiences, when you serve at the municipal level, you serve at the state level, you serve at the federal level, you understand how it affects each level of government. We all know and believe the best government is the closest government to where you live. Rob served in every capacity, and it's important to know what it's like to serve in each capacity. Rob Simmons obviously has led the way to get Dodd out of office, and he's been the front runner since day one. He's also done some things as a candidate, which most of the time doesn't happen, which includes calling for the resignation of Tim Geithner. He was one of the first people in America to do that. Shortly after he did that, members of Congress on both sides of the aisle followed his lead and started calling for Tim Geithner's resignation. He also questioned the 9/11 trials, which were to be hosted in New York. And when he did it, a lot of press came from that. So as a candidate, he's led the way in getting the movement for people to think about what's important, especially with national defense. Over the past 3 years, Rob Simmons also has had the opportunity, well before he was running officially for Senate, to visit hundreds of businesses from every corner of the state. And during that time, he met with thousands of people. And you know what? That's important. He's been doing this for a little while. And I know some people may say, you know what? He was there a few years ago and not everything was perfect. But the reality is, it is important to understand what it's like to work at each level of government. It is important to wear the military uniform for 37 years when one of the greatest threats to America in the world is the war on terror. He gets it. And, I'll leave with Rob Simmons he's one of a few officials in this state who stood side by side with me and went to some of these events in front of 1,000, if not hundreds of people, telling you what his opinion was against TARP and other things. So he's been there, he's walked the walk, and he talks the talk. So, I hope you consider Mr. Rob Simmons as your future senator, because he wants to represent you, and I believe he'd be an excellent senator for the state of Connecticut.
Give me 1 second to move the mic, and we'll start with our questions and answers.